One of the many things that I enjoy being a hypnotherapist is the variety of people that I get to work with. And this week gone by is no different. The youngest that I've worked with was 14, and the eldest was someone way into his 60s. And regardless of age, a lot of the tools and techniques that we use are the same. And there's something that's been very common that I've been talking about this week, and that's what I call the ripple effect. We all have emotions. So if you think about that word emotion being energy in motion, it starts to make a little bit more sense. You can probably tell when someone is really, really happy and buzzing, or equally if someone is very down, because the vibration in that energy changes and we pick up on it. And our energy impacts on those that are most close to us. So with the 14-year-old, she was struggling with anxiety, and her anxiety was also creating a lot of stress for her mum. With the older gentleman, he is struggling with depression. And he shared with me that a friend that he spends a little bit of time with said, "Oh God, you're always so miserable and negative." And so that person was also picking up on that vibration. So how we feel impacts on others too. And so that can often be a really strong motivation that we use to help make the changes. Hypnotherapy is a lot like going to a mental gym to get mentally fit, just as you might go to a health club to get physically fit. No one can do it for you. And I consider myself as a hypnotherapist being a lot like a mental personal trainer. I can't do the work for that person, but I'm there to guide them, to help them get stronger, and to be there as a safety net should they struggle or come across a block. And so for all of the clients that I've worked with, it's all about helping them to help themselves. And one of the other clients that started working with me this week is a gentleman with an addiction. People often say to me, "Oh, I've got an addictive personality." The jury is still out as to whether that is true. Is it a personality trait, or is it, as I believe, more likely to be a learned behaviour, something that you become prone to do? And what he'd noticed is he'd had addictions throughout his life and things he did as a child, and he'd now developed a behaviour that he couldn't stop as an adult. And the work that I do therapeutically is not about putting sticky plasters over the wound. It's about understanding what's going on deep inside, what's at the root of all of those problems. So with the people that I've worked with the youngster, what's the root of her anxiety? Because even though she's relatively young at 14, the roots of those things can go back to quite early ages. With the older gentleman, the root to his depression really came from very low self-esteem. And we could track that right the way back to some very early childhood memories, which were then really compounded when he went to boarding school. And with this gentleman with addictions, again, the roots to his current addiction could be traced right the way back. But much like beads on a chain, you don't need to have to take each bead off. If you cut the bottom one off, all of the others then tend to slide down. And that is the real value in the work that I do. When you get to the root of the problem, a lot of the subsequent behaviours that have built on that foundation all just tend to slide away and dissipate. Hypnotherapy is a really amazing form of therapy. And yes, I'm ultimately bi, but hey, I'm allowed to be. And so by sharing these videos of the work that I do, my aim is to help people get a better understanding of what can be achieved. So if you've been inspired by one of the stories that I've shared today, or take a look at some of the episodes to listen to other stories of people I've worked with, probably the easiest thing is just pick up the phone. let's have a chat. Or if you don't want to do that, send me an email and we can have that email exchange until you're ready to have that chat too. And just see whether hypnotherapy is something that can help you make the change that you'd like in your life, that will stop a behaviour that's stopping you from living the full life that you deserve. So thank you for listening to this edition, and I will look forward to sharing next week. Bye-bye for now.